afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Institute for Spirituality and Health. Today we continue a 6-part lecture series by Dr. Afzaal Firdous. He's here as a guest scholar, and he is continuing his presentations. We're excited today to hear about Buddhism. Thank you, Dr. Firdous.
Thank you, Stuart. Well, good afternoon. It's good to have you here, and I'm very delighted to give these talks, these presentations. And as I was talking to Sylvia, I was born and raised in Pakistan, which is predominantly a Muslim country. Afzaal is an Arabic word, which means a blessed one. Firdaus is a Persian word, a Farsi word, which means paradise. So Urdu, the language that I speak, and is the national language of Pakistan, is the 4th largest language. It means an army, and it's an army of words. It has a mixture of Sanskrit, Persian, Arabic, Hebrew, and I don't know how many other languages. And I immigrated to Houston in 1985 due to some socio-religious circumstances of Pakistan at that time, and I have been here since '85, out of which I was in East Texas as a pastor of Methodist churches for over 10 years, and about 2.5, 3 years ago I decided to come back to Houston. I had wonderful experience in East Texas. We still miss it. We still have a property in East Texas, and my daughter is living there, married to a local boy. And I recently just became a grandpa.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Today we are going to talk about Buddhism, and I'm going to try to use these gadgets. Stuart is excellent on that. He's an expert. I'm not. So bear with me. Buddhism was born in Nepal, and Nepal is located in Asia. And it's home of tourism. That's where the Buddha was born. And it was a monarchy for many, many centuries. And in about 2006, King Gyanendra was ousted because of the political unrest and all that was going on due to the Maoist movement, that people wanted part in the government. So they ousted him, and in 2007, 2008, the Maoists emerged as a very powerful force in Nepal, and then they were sworn in to rule the country. So ever since, the Maoists are ruling the country. Oh, sorry. This is the monument. That is the identity of Nepal, which is Mount Everest. It is the largest peak in the world, as we know, and it was discovered by an English surveyor, Sir George Everest, and it was named after him in 1865. And Sir Edmund Hillary first climbed it in May of 1953, and ever since, there have been many people who have climbed this peak, and this still is the largest peak in the world, the summit in the world, and the second one is in Pakistan, which is K2. And it is 29,035 feet tall, high, and in '99, they discovered that it was 6 feet taller than what have been described for so many years. Welcome, please come in. Please have a seat. This is Kathmandu's, one of the pictures of Kathmandu. Kathmandu, as you know, is the capital of Nepal. It's about 4,600 feet altitude, and it's a beautiful city. It's the city of the temples. each direction, any direction you go, there are temples and temples and temples. And it's also called Tri-City because of the two other valleys, Lalitpur and Bhagatpur, and this district, Kathmandu district. And it's also famous for Kopan monastery and the female nunnery of the Buddhist nuns. This thing is little slower. Okay. Then we come to Lumbini. Lumbini is a valley, a garden, was a garden at the time of Buddha's birth. In 6th century BC, that's where Buddha was born, and now it is a very holy place for the Buddhist people. They go from all over the world and pay homage to this place. And it includes, the complex includes the Sakya tank right there. You can see that tank. And then it also includes the Ashoka pillar. In 249 BC, Mauryan king of India, Ashoka the Great, visited this place, and he erected a pillar commemorating his visit. And it also includes viharas, the shrines, and it also has stupas, stupas of the shrines in memory of the visits and all that. All right, we are going to look at Nepal in the 6th century BC. Nepal, of course, was part of India at that time. And India had so many kings and enormous governments and vassal kings, and the country was divided into 4 castes. We learned about the 4 castes in the Hinduism talk, that there were Brahmanas, those who were the supreme race, they thought. Their job was to learn, attain knowledge and interpret the knowledge to the masses. And then there were Kshatriyas, and the Brahmanas said that they were created from the arms of Brahma. So their job was to defend the society. So they were the soldiers. And then there were the Vaishyas. The Vaishyas were the traders, because the Brahmanas said that they were created from the stomach of Brahma. And then there were the Shudras or the Dalit. The Shudras were considered that they were created from the feet of Brahma. Therefore, their job was to take care of the society, do all the dirty work of the society. So Nepal was part of that system at that time. And there were many tribes and many small states. There were Sakya tribes, there were Bulis tribes, Kolyas and Kolasas. Sakyas and Bulis and Kolasas were vassal kings of Kosala, which was a little bigger dynasty. And all these small tribes were the vassal kings. And there, from the tribe of Sakya, King Sadhodana and Queen Mahamaya had a son in 563 BC, and they named him Siddhartha. We are going to try to watch a video clip and let's see how technology works. So I'm going to try, and if I fail, then we have Stuart. We don't have to watch all of it. It's just to give you an idea, and it's just to change the atmosphere. That's India's map, and that's Lumbini and Nepal over there. attention to the music. It gets into your head and it doesn't get out. I think that's enough. It's just one mantra that they just keep repeating and repeating, and it's so powerful that you just emerge into it, you immerse yourself into it, and you just want to keep listening to it. We are going to talk about the life of Siddhartha and about his birth, his life in the palace, his married life, and then his death. As I was saying that there were many tribes in northern India at that time, and one of them was Sakya or Shakya. Shakya is the right word, but I took out H, and most of the time H is taken out to make it easier to say. So King Suddhodana and Queen Mahamaya, or even just Maya, desired a child, and she conceived, and it was custom at that time, it was just the custom that the female would go to her parents' home to deliver the baby. And she was traveling. There are two birth stories of Buddha, so I am going to share both of them with you. So Queen Mahamaya was traveling with her maids, and they came to this grove of trees, which is Lumbini. I showed you the picture of Lumbini. And at that time, while she was still traveling, the time to give birth to the child came. And under a sal tree, a big tree, she gave birth to her son and named him Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha Gautama. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. And there is another story which is kind of mystical. Those who believe that Buddha was a divine being, so they claim that Queen Mahamaya used to live in the heavens before coming down to earth. And then when the gods decided to send Buddha to the world, Queen Mahamaya was placed on a throne, and then she was brought down to Lumbini, to the grove of Lumbini, and there, while she was at her throne, a white elephant was sent, and the white elephant came on the right side of the queen, and then she was all filled with light, and all her stains, all kinds of body and spiritual stains were cleansed, and then the elephant entered into her womb, and then the Buddha came into existence. So there are two stories. One, those who believe in historical Buddha, that story I shared with you, and then this story, those who believe that Buddha was a divine being from eternity, and he just came into being in this life like this. So the king was overprotective of his son, and he did not want his son to encounter any kind of pain or suffering or any kind of trouble, worldly trouble. So he provided him all sorts of pleasure, all sorts of luxuries in the palace, and of course he was a prince, so he had everything that anybody can dream of. And at age 16, his parents arranged a marriage to his cousin with Yasodhara. Yasodhara, he got married, and Yasodhara gave birth to a son whom they named Rahul or Rahula. So he lived in the palace and he was happy, and he then realized that he has never been out of the palace and he has never seen anyone else. So one day he ordered his servants to take him out of the palace. So he sneaked out of the palace, and he had his encounter with dukkha. That is the next slide I am going to show you. But before that, I just want to narrate his next part of his life, that he had encounter with dukkha, and then he left the palace, left his wife, and went to attain nirvana, and he attained nirvana, and for the next 35 years of his life he preached, and then he died at the age 80 or 82. The way he died was very strange. He was a vegetarian, and all his life, he ate very little food and did not have any meat. But at this last day of his life, he went to beg for his meal, as was the custom for him and his disciples called bhikshus. So the man who was going to be his host cooked the cow's stomach and asked Buddha to eat it. So Buddha, knowing that this was his time to depart from this world, he said, serve me the whole food. And he ate all of the food, and he died due to stomach problem, and he threw up and got sick, and he died at age 80 or 82. So we talked about his encounter with dukkha. So he came out of the palace and he saw 4 sights that changed his life completely. As he was walking through the bazaar, through the street, he saw an old man. And that was the first time he saw an old man. And he said, oh man, human beings are decaying. The human beings are born, and then their body starts decaying, and then they suffer. So he saw another sight he saw on his way was the sick man, and then he realized that body suffers and body is not eternal, and sickness is there, so that brings suffering. And as he was walking down, he saw a funeral, and that gave him the realization that human beings not only are born, but they suffer, they decay, but they also die. And as he continued his walk, he saw a sage. And the sage was not worried about life. He was not worried about his family. He was not worried about the palace or world or material things or anything. So he realized that there is a way to avoid suffering and decay. Maybe not decay, but suffering. And that is renunciation, like this sage has done, that he has left the world behind. He is not worried about worldly things. He is not worried about family or any kind of ties and all that. So there is a way. So these 4 sights, the sight of an old man, the sight of a sick man, a funeral, and a sage, changed Buddha's life. And he decided that he was going to search for peace, like this sage. It just impacted him so much that he decided that he would search for peace, inner peace, and he would find out for himself why all this suffering takes place in the world, why human beings have to go through this, and why, what can be done about that, what is the way out of this suffering. So as he was in quest of this inner peace, one night when his wife Yasodhara and his son Rahula were asleep, he just told his best servant to take him out in the jungle and just come back with the horse and just come back to the palace. So he left his wife and left his son and just went into the jungle and cut his hair, the golden hair he had, and changed the clothes, the princely clothes that he was wearing, and wore ordinary clothes of an ordinary person and just started wandering into the jungle. So as he started walking, the custom was that anybody who was in quest of peace, inner peace, or salvation, that person would go to the Brahmanas, those who were the teacher of the knowledge. So they would go. So he did too. He came to this city, old ancient city of Banaras. And Banaras still, after 7,000 years, still is known to be the city where all the sages, all the rishis, all the munis, all those who are in search of salvation and inner peace, they go there. And I'll play this clip just to give you an idea of Banaras. This city is fascinating. It fascinates me so much. There is the Ganges River, and people on the river banks bathe in that water because the belief is that the river is going to cleanse their sins, cleanse them from all the sins. This is River Ganges. We learned last week that River Ganges flows from the dreadlocks of Shiva, and it has the power of cleansing all the sins. So that's what people are doing. And this place is known for all the wise people of Hinduism and Buddhism to be there. So Buddha came here, and he was a student of a Brahman for 6 years, and he tried to learn from him, and the Buddhist Brahman, the teacher, put him through very hard physical mortification and starvation and all kind of hard work, and he kept him engaged in the cycle of samsara, which is birth and death and rebirth, birth and death and rebirth, the cycle, 7 cycles of life, and could not give him a good answer. So after 6 years of being a student of that Brahman, Buddha decided that it's not working, and he left him. So he came to the jungles of Gaya, and by the jungle, in the jungle, he started his own journeys, and he would sit under a tree for some time, and then he would leave that tree. That is called yatra. When the Buddhist monk go on a journey, on a travel, they go on a yatra, which is supposed to give them the new insights. Yatra, or the travel or the journey, for the Buddhist monk is essential, and we would touch bases with that again. So he came near Gaya, a small city near Gaya, And then there he found a peepal tree, which is now called Bodhi tree. Bodhi is a Sanskrit word which comes from Buddh or Buddhi. Buddhi means wisdom. So because Buddha sat under that tree for 49 days, he decided that he was not going to get up until he found the solution of all the human suffering and found an answer. He was just going to stay there and he was going to find the solution. So during that time, he had many, many temptations. Mara is the word for tempter. The tempter came and tempted Buddha for 49 days. So first he brought all kinds of horrible, terrible demons. And they, when he brought all those demons, he thought that Buddha is going to get scared and he is going to run away. It didn't work. So he brought severe weather. So the severe weather, rain and cold and wind and all that, and it didn't work on Buddha. And then he brought, females, the woman, very pretty, heavenly woman, and it did not, distract Buddha. So he tempted him with all the temptations that were possible. But Buddha overcame all those temptations, and then the tempter or Mara asked Buddha, tell me why you are worthy that I should leave you alone. So he said, do you have a witness? So the tradition says, he said, the earth is my witness. So he called upon the earth and touched the earth with his finger. It was the 49th day during the night, and the earth, sorry, so there was a hum. So as he touched the earth shook and said to Buddha that I am your witness that you have overcome all the temptations and you are worthy of receiving the enlightenment. So that night, in the third watch of the night, Buddha found out what was the cause of suffering. And he found out that there was a way out. So he came into a state of mind which was just like a bliss. He had serene peace, which means that he was enlightened. And he became the Buddha, the one with the Buddhi. So he found out that there are 4 noble truths. He learned that there is suffering in the world. Any living being in the universe would suffer. Every human being is suffering. And then he said the cause of the suffering of the human being is the cravings, the desires, that we crave for things. We crave for sex, we crave for money, we crave for good health, we crave for this and this and this and that. So Buddha said that the cravings cause the pain and the suffering. But there is a solution, that one can overcome the cravings and have the cessation of the suffering. And in this way, that person can can get rid of all the suffering that person is facing. And for that, there is an eightfold path in order to to overcome the cravings that cause all the suffering. There is an old eightfold path. And that eightfold path is, number 1, right understanding, samadhi, that all human beings, those who want to attain nirvana or salvation from their sufferings, they must have right understanding. Then they must have right-mindedness, sama sankappa, right-mindedness. One has to be in the right state of mind. one has to be able to think right, so that person can start his or her journey toward nirvana. One must speak right. Right speech is essential. Samavaka, that one should not use, bad language, foul language, or bad words in the conversation. So one must have a right speech. Right action, sama kamanta, that one should do the right thing, the just thing. One should, if somebody knows that this is the right thing to do, that is the action one should take, the right action. Right living, one should not live in a bad way. Sama ajiva, the right way of life, that one should adopt the way which according to normative social standard is right. And then right effort, sama vavama, that one should effort right. One should do the right effort in order to be on the path of salvation. And right attentiveness, sama skati, that one should be alert in the right way, right way of thinking, right way of living, right way of speech, right way of mind, right-mindedness and understanding. And then one must concentrate rightly. The state of mind that person is in and the way he is sitting, these are just basics that I'm sharing with you, but they have many depths to them, So one should sit right and have a right state of mind, and then that person would be able to attain nirvana. So after these 4 truths that he discovered, and then the eightfold path toward achieving the nirvana, he was called the Buddha, the one with buddhi, or the awakened one. That's what it actually means, that he was out of his sleep of ignorance and he was enlightened. So he decided to share this knowledge that he had acquired. So he got up from the Bodhi tree and he came to Sarnath, a nearby garden, which is also known as Garden of Deer Park. So he came to Deer Park, and not the one close to Pasadena. I was there too. So he started preaching the dharma or the religion that he had discovered. And he started preaching that all living beings are suffering, decay is imminent, and death is imminent. Therefore, one should work hard and adopt the eightfold path in order to get out of the samsara, the cycle of birth and death and rebirth. And as he started preaching, 5 people, 5 monks came and they started, listening to him, and they became his first disciple. They were so overwhelmed with the new message that he was preaching. It is very powerful. I shared just one glimpse with you how powerful that mantra was. So those 5 became his core group, and then they started, going toward with him, and they started all preaching. There are 3 jewels of Buddhism. It's called 3 Ratan or 3 jewels. One is Buddha, one is Dhamma or Dharma. There is an R in there, but that is in Hindi. In Pali, there is no R, so it's Dhamma. And then Sangha. So we are going to learn a little bit about all these 3 jewels of Buddhism. So the first one is Buddha, the Buddha. What is the concept of the Buddha? Well, the Buddha is the one who has rid himself of all the malice, all the evils of the world, who has control over his cravings, his desires, and who is clean and pure soul. And there are stages to become a Buddha. Arhat is the stage in Hinayana Buddhism. We will talk about the denominations later. Arhat is the first stage in order to become a Buddha. That is a person, a monk, who renounces the world, who leaves the world behind, and who is initiated into a fellowship of the monks, and that person, male or female, devotes his or her life to attain nirvana. That person attains nirvana only for himself or for herself. That person, arhat, would not be able to help others. And that's the difference between arhat and bodhisattva. Bodhisattva is in the Mahayana Buddhism. That person, that monk, male or female, is initiated into the ashram, into the sangha, into the fellowship, into the vihara, and that person starts the procedure or process of attaining nirvana. But once that person, bodhisattva, attains the nirvana, he or she is able to help the other monks to attain nirvana. So this is the basic difference between the two. Arhat cannot help the others to attain nirvana, whereas bodhisattva not only attains nirvana for himself, but also is capable of helping the other monks to attain nirvana. Then Buddha nature or Buddhahood, what is that? Buddha nature is the clean soul, the one who is right with the nature, the one who has the purity of soul, one who has overcome the cravings, one who is not suffering anymore, and one who has come to the emptiness of mind, or sunyata. Sunyata is the state of mind when everything is detached, when the person is no longer attached with the world, with the family, with the cravings, with any kind of things, and has a state of emptiness. That is what is desired, and that is, after only attaining the sunyata or the emptiness of mind, one can receive nirvana. And nirvana is salvation from all kinds of suffering, bodily, mind, and spirit, and the one who attains nirvana is not going to be reborn, is not going to be in the cycle of samsara again. Let's see if Buddha Nirvana clip plays for us. See various features of Buddha, and we'll talk about that later. Okay. So the first one was Buddha, The second jewel of Buddhism is the dharma or dhamma. Dharma is the religion that Buddha thought was the way to salvation. So it's the set of ethical and moral rules, and the process or the procedures that are defined by the Buddhist monk and by Buddha, and that includes the Four Noble Truths and the right speech and Eightfold Path, which includes all those 8 things. I'm going to skip this clip, and let's see the next one. Sangha or the fellowship is the third jewel of Buddhism. And as Buddha preached and preached his sermons, I shared that 5 people first became his disciples, and Gopal and Sanjay and others were the one who started traveling with him, and this powerful message just swept India, and people started coming to Buddha by the hundreds and by the thousands every day. And many kings, many queens, many princesses, princes, and all kinds of noble and rich people just gave up their life, gave up their kingdoms, gave up their luxurious lives, and they just come and joined Buddha and his disciples. So thus he had to create a facility which was known as Vihara. And then during his 35 years of preaching and teaching, there were many viharas created. So they were initiated, the monks were initiated in the viharas or the ashram or the monastery, and then for 8 months they would go into the jungles for meditations. And on their way, they would preach and teach and do all kinds of religious activities. But for the 4 months of rain, the monsoon season, they were not able to travel in the jungles. So they would come back to their place of initiation, wherever they were initiated into the group, into the denomination. So thus the rain retreat started. So after every 8 months, the monks would return to the vihara, to the sangha, and they would be there for 4 months. They would learn from the abbots, from the teachers, from the gurus, and then at the end of 4 months, at the end of the rain retreat, they would be given new robes and then sent back to the jungles. Also, the females, as I said, that many rich ladies, the princesses, started following Buddha and his disciples, and female nunneries or ashrams or sanghas were also formed. Let me see what is next, and then we'll see. Yeah, let me talk about these major denominations. The first one is called Hinayana or Theravada Buddhism. Actually, there are 37 denominations, so we cannot go into those 37. So let's just talk about these few. Hinayana is the lesser vehicle. Hinayana or Theravada Buddhism is the tradition of the elders. They kept most of the rules and regulations of the elders in Sri Lanka and neighboring countries. And it's also known as the lesser vehicle because it does not allow the laity to attain nirvana. They say only the arhat, the one who is set aside, has given up the world and everything, would be able to attain nirvana. Mahayana, Maha means bigger, is the bigger vehicle. It allows not only the bodhisattva but also the laity, male and female, to be included in the nirvana process, and they claim that they can attain nirvana. Pure Land Buddhism is mainly in Japan, and there was a man named Amida in the 7th century who accepted Buddhism, and he decided to live in the pure paradise side of Japan, western side of Japan, which they think is the Pure Land, and anybody who is born in the Pure Land is guaranteed nirvana. There are 10 million Buddhas in the Pure Land. So that's another detailed discussion. And then Tibetan Buddhism, and we know that spiritual leader of Tibet is Dalai Lama. Normally we say Dalai Lama, but the word is Dalai Lama, who was exiled in 1957, and he has been living in India for many, many years. And he is a symbol of peace in the world. I had the honor to be part of a peace conference when I was fellow at Bonnie Center, Rice, to arrange one of the conferences where he was able to come. Popular Buddhist practices include to live a moral life, do no harm, and don't hurt anybody, be mindful of your thoughts and actions, develop wisdom and understanding, and adopt the middle way. The middle way is the main thing of Buddhism. No extremes. When Buddha was under the guidance of a Brahman, he made him starve to death. He came to the point when he was not able to get out of the river where he was bathing, and he almost died, but a shepherd girl named Sujata was passing by, so she dropped some rice milk into his mouth, and he came back to life. And after that he decided that no extremes are good, so adopt the middle way in order to live a normal life and in order to live to attain nirvana. So Buddhism is very much alive in Houston, and off of Eldridge or off of Sinai, that road has two names, there is a huge statue. You might have seen that. That is Vietnamese Buddhist Center. And I have invited the abbot, the chief priest over there, to many conferences, and they are very open people. And they have celebrations going on, and they love the visitors. And they have the main worship hall where you can experience and see the worship, and behind that is the Dharma hall where the religion is practiced. And right next to it is the Buddhist temple of the nuns, right next to it. And then Bel Air Street, Bel Air Road is full of all the shops and massage parlors and restaurants, and then there is Chinatown. You can, when you are in Chinatown or when you are on Bel Air, you feel that you are either in Vietnam or you are in Japan or you are in China, because it's a different world. Even the street signs are written in different language. I'm going to stop. So if you have any question, and if I'm able to answer, I'll answer. Yes, sir.
I remember from the 60s there was a well-known musical, Hair, which was a musical at the times of the 60s that were very independent, flower children, et cetera, et cetera. There was a song or a term in the music called Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Does that relate to Buddhism, and what does it mean?
It's Krishna. You know, Krishna, as we talked in the Hinduism, is Krishna is the god of Hindus, not the Buddhist.
Oh, it's Hindu.
It's Hindu.
All right, thank you.
Any other question?
Are you going to be talking about Krishna at any point in the series?
We did. That was the last time.
Oh, okay. Missed it.
Yeah. But we would be doing, these are the introductory lectures. But then I'm planning to go into deeper study, which would be 4 to 6 weeks study for one religion. So we can start that.
So Buddha really existed?
Well, Buddha was a historical figure, but as the time passed, you know, they made him a divine being, like he was from eternity, and he was in the heavenly realms, and the story I shared, you know, I think most of the religions take that path, you know, that their leader or the pioneer of the religion is a historical being, is a normal person. But then the followers, as the time goes by, they change that person to be someone divine from the heavens or whatever you call it. But Buddha was a historical person.
And so you can obtain your own salvation.
Yes. This is a works righteousness, in Christian terminology. And they don't believe in God. Buddha never mentioned about God. He never felt the need of God. So when he was about to die, his disciples asked him, what should we do? He said, work diligently for your salvation. So it's the human beings who attain nirvana, who attain salvation. Yes, sir.
When we see Buddhists today, like I'll go to a Chinese restaurant or something, or Buddha's depicted, and when you see little statues, as having a big belly
Yes.
or a big stomach.
Yes.
And another thing I've noticed, and it was a dry cleaner I used to go to, they would light incense,
Mm-hmm.
and they would have like a basket of fruit,
Right.
oranges and different things and so forth. And what does that mean, and why is Buddha today assumed to be heavy set or having a big stomach?
Right. That is called happy Buddha, as you said. That Buddha has many incarnations. When we go into deeper study, then we will talk about the jataks. Jataks means the incarnations of Buddha. So according to some denominations, Vietnamese and maybe Hong Kong and other people, they believe that Buddha also was incarnated as the one who loves wealth and brings wealth, and he is the happy Buddha. So in many business places, they have the statue of happy Buddha to bring wealth and prosperity, and they offer libations, of fruit and incense and all that to bring prosperity to them. Yes, sir.
Well, so then that just makes me think that the Buddha has become a.
Yes. They have made him a god. Yes.
Okay.
Right. He wasn't. He never claimed that he was a god. And when he was about to die, he had a conversation with his dear disciple, Sanjay, and he asked him. And even before that, the gurus of the time sent their disciples and came in person to ask him, are you Deva, which means are you God? He said, no. Are you Gandharva, which means you are a lesser god, another spiritual being? He said, no, I'm not. So, are you a human being? He said, no, I'm not. I'm the Buddha.
Is there a authoritative or sacred text?
Yes. The original sacred text is Dhampada or Dhampad, but then there are many, that was written in Pali. Buddha did not write down his sermon or his teachings or his preaching. It was his students, most of his students. So the original or the basic one is Dhampada, and then there are many, many sutras, many other texts according to the denominations. And the disciple and those who came after those disciples, or the original disciples, they wrote down many things. So there are thousands of books now.
I got one more if you could.
Sure.
Pardon me. In the interest of the Buddha trying to escape suffering and achieve this nirvana through a works righteousness, in the interest of comparative religion, I think of Joel Osteen.
Okay.
And then especially when you brought up the happy Buddha.
Uh-huh.
What comes to your mind when you put the two together? We are still searching for that inner peace,
Yes.
that contentment.
Mm-hmm.
And Joel Osteen certainly has his theory.
Well, I think it's not fair to compare the two. They are two very different people, and Buddha has attained, as you said, the level or status of a god, whereas Joel Osteen hasn't yet. He might in the future.
Has that been explained to Joel?
So, but he preaches the prosperity gospel, the social gospel, which is not the gospel that Jesus preached. He preaches the gospel of prosperity. He makes you feel good, and that's his success, And all kinds of people, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims, all people listen to him because he makes them feel good. say on a doomsday, on a bad day, it's good to listen to those things. But he's not preaching the true gospel. I'm sorry.
Okay, I have a question. If we look at all this, the eight, what is it?
45.
Yeah.
845, yes.
Do Buddhists feel pressure? In other words, I've got to live or do these 8 things and do this and do this. I mean, they just seem like a happy people. But I mean, do they feel that pressure?
I assume they would, because this is, if you don't go to work, you don't make any money. So if you don't do those things, you don't gain any merit points. So they would be under pressure to live a good life, to live a moral life, to do the 8 things right, the right-mindedness, the right speech, and all that. So they would be under pressure all the time.
Does it make them angry? But they seem so peaceful.
I don't think so that they're angry. I have, well, you know, um, I take it back because I have, even Dalai Lama, in his one of his interviews with Bill Moore, he said, he asked him the question, do you ever get angry? And he said, yes, I do. I'm a human being. And you know, if a mosquito is trying to bite me, first time I do this, second time I do this, the third time it comes and tries to bite me, I do this. So even Dalai Lama